Welcome, viewers from across the world. Before we begin this prophetic journey through Jerusalem, we'd love to know, from where are you watching this revelation unfold? Share your city in the comments below. This is a historic moment, and we want to see how the entire world is witnessing what's happening in Jerusalem right now. The ancient stones of Jerusalem are witnessing a gathering unlike any other. They have finally arrived. From the four corners of the earth they come, the faithful, the curious, the seekers of truth. Their footsteps echo through narrow alleyways that have carried the weight of history for millennia. This is not merely a gathering, this is fulfillment. The Western Wall Plaza overflows with thousands, some weeping, some praying, all sensing that something profound is unfolding before their eyes. The atmosphere is electric with anticipation. Ancient prophecies whispered through generations now seem to breathe with new life. Jerusalem, the eternal city, once again stands at the crossroads of destiny. The air itself feels different today, heavier with purpose, lighter with promise. Even the most hardened skeptics pause, feeling something they cannot explain. Families who have journeyed thousands of miles clutch each other's hands, their eyes wide with wonder. Children fall silent, instinctively recognizing solemnity beyond their years. The golden stones of the city walls seem to pulse with an inner light that transcends physical explanation. It is as though the veil is thinning, whispers an elderly rabbi, his voice trembling with emotion. The membrane between worlds grows transparent. The call has gone out across nations. It resonates in hearts that have been preparing for this moment without knowing why. Today marks the beginning of what seers and prophets described in sacred texts centuries ago. The alignment of celestial bodies, the convergence of timelines, the restoration of ancient practices, all pointing to this precise moment in history. Listen closely. Can you hear it? The unmistakable spiritual frequency that accompanies divine appointments. Leaders from faith communities worldwide have journeyed here, drawn by an inexplicable urgency. "We could not stay away," they whisper. "Something called us here." The call transcends religious boundaries, political divisions, and cultural differences. It speaks a language understood by the Spirit. Some received visions in dreams that matched perfectly with others dreamt on opposite sides of the planet. Others found ancient texts suddenly illuminated with new meaning. Many simply felt an irresistible pull, a divine gravity drawing them to this epicenter of spiritual convergence. A renowned physicist, known for her skepticism, stands transfixed at the edge of the gathering. "I came to debunk," she admits quietly, "but something is happening here that defies my instruments and challenges my understanding of reality itself." The call came in 70 languages, but speaks one truth: the appointed time has arrived. What we are witnessing today was foretold by prophets whose words seemed impossible in their time. Ezekiel spoke of dry bones coming to life. Isaiah foresaw nations streaming to this mountain. Zechariah described a day when living waters would flow from Jerusalem. Today, these ancient words find their expression in flesh and blood, in tears and prayers, in songs that rise from the depths of human longing. The precision of fulfillment leaves even skeptics in quiet contemplation. Dates, times, cosmic signs, all aligning with mathematical precision. This is not coincidence. This is cosmic choreography, scripted by the hand that formed the universe itself. The watchmen on the walls have not sounded a false alarm. What was written is now being read aloud by history itself. Scholars who have dedicated their lives to ancient manuscripts stand slack-jawed, watching prophecies materialize before their eyes. "The text describes this exact gathering," murmurs a prominent archaeologist, pointing to a Dead Sea Scroll fragment recently unearthed. The precise number of nations represented, the specific alignment of stars above Jerusalem tonight, even the unusual weather patterns we've been experiencing. Those who dismissed such prophecies as metaphorical or symbolic now witness their literal unfolding with their own eyes. The words of Daniel, sealed until the time of the end, are now being unsealed. The cryptic visions of John of Patmos clarify into vivid reality. The prophetic becomes historic before our eyes. It happens now before our eyes, not in some distant future, not in metaphorical realms, but here on these ancient stones. The present moment trembles with significance. Elders who have studied the scrolls for decades weep openly, pointing to paragraphs and verses now manifesting in real time. "Look, look!" they exclaim through tears. "It is exactly as written." Tourists who came for historical sightseeing find themselves caught in spiritual currents they never anticipated. Journalists struggle to maintain professional detachment as they witness events that defy secular explanation. The veil between heaven and earth seems gossamer thin today. Time itself appears to bend, as though past, present, and future were converging on this singular point. This is happening now, the present moment pregnant with eternity. A young woman who arrived as a skeptical reporter finds her pen hovering motionless above her notebook. "How do I describe what I'm seeing?" she asks no one in particular. What words could possibly capture this? Witnesses describe a quality of light that cameras cannot record, a resonance that audio equipment fails to capture. It's as though reality itself has shifted into a higher resolution, explains a quantum physicist who came to observe and found himself participating instead. The thin line between observer and observed dissolves in the immediacy of divine presence. What happens now imprints itself not just on history, but on the very structure of reality. Listen to the voices rising from the gathering. Prayers in 70 languages merge into a symphony that needs no translation. "We have waited for this," says an elderly woman from Ethiopia. Her journey the fulfillment of a generational promise. "My grandmother's grandmother spoke of this day." A young man from South Korea falls to his knees, overcome. "I saw this in dreams since childhood," he whispers. A family from Brazil holds hands in a circle, their voices raised in songs passed down through centuries of exile and hope. Pilgrims who arrived as strangers now embrace as family. Ancient tribal divisions dissolve in the recognition of shared destiny. The voices of the people become one voice, not through uniformity but through harmony. Each distinct, yet part of a greater whole. The voice of a people remembering who they were, always meant to be. A choir from the Philippines spontaneously begins a chant that meshes perfectly with Gregorian melodies sung by European monks nearby. Native Americans with drums find their rhythms synchronizing with Polynesian islanders. "We never rehearsed this," marvels a choir director from Kenya. "Yet we're creating music that sounds composed by a single mind." Indigenous elders from 5 continents discover their traditional prophecies, preserved through centuries of isolation, describe identical events. How could we have known the same truth, separated by oceans and millennia? They ask one another in amazement. The Tower of Babel's confusion finds its healing as language barriers dissolve, in the presence of something greater than words. The shofar sounds. Its primal cry pierces the morning air, silencing all other sounds. One blast, then another, then a third, each longer than the last, each reaching deeper into the soul of everyone present. The ancient ram's horn, instrument of biblical gatherings, herald of sacred moments, announces that the threshold has been crossed. Time stands still. Those who know the traditional responses find the words catching in their throats. This is no ordinary sounding. Veterans of religious ceremonies look at each other with wide eyes. "Have you ever heard it resonate like this?" they ask one another. The acoustic properties of the city seem altered today, as though Jerusalem itself were an instrument being played by unseen hands. The shofar's call rebounds from the Mount of Olives to Mount Zion, creating overtones that scientists later struggle to explain. The sound awakens something dormant in the collective consciousness of humanity. When the final blast fades, the silence that follows is deafening, a pregnant pause in which everyone present seems to hold their breath. Then comes a sound like rushing water, though the skies remain clear. "The sound of many wings," whispers an Orthodox priest, his face pale with awe. Children point upward, seeing what adult eyes have learned to filter out. Measuring equipment brought by research teams registers energy fluctuations that exceed all previous records. The sound of the shofar continues to reverberate long after its echoes should have faded, as though it has triggered harmonic responses in the fabric of creation itself. Something ancient has awakened, something new has begun. Ancient memories stir within the stones themselves. This ground has witnessed the footsteps of Abraham, David, Solomon, Jesus, Muhammad, spiritual giants whose legacies shaped civilizations. Today's gathering adds another layer to this sacred palimpsest. Elderly Jerusalemites recall the reunification in 1967, but say even that historic day pales in comparison to what we witness now. Descendants of families who held keys to homes abandoned centuries ago find doors opening that were long considered permanently sealed. Traditions preserved through millennia of diaspora find their way home like rivers returning to their source. "My grandfather taught me this prayer," says a man from Yemen, "and his grandfather before him, all the way back to the destruction of the Second Temple." The weight of memory becomes a bridge rather than a burden. What was broken begins to heal. What was scattered begins to gather. Archaeologists report strange phenomena at excavation sites throughout the city. Ancient artifacts seemingly revealing new inscriptions, previously hidden chambers opening without explanation. It's as though the city itself is unveiling secrets it has kept hidden until this precise moment, reports a trembling project director. Genetic researchers who have tracked bloodlines of the diaspora watch in amazement as their complex family trees suddenly clarify into patterns of astonishing symmetry. The data was always there, one explains, but something has changed that allows us to see the connections clearly now. Memory transcends the personal and enters the realm of the collective, individuals finding themselves remembering events their ancestors experienced, carrying knowledge they never learned. The veil separating generations thins as the eternal breaks into the temporal. The spiritual impact radiates outward from Jerusalem in concentric circles of awakening. Reports flood in from around the globe of spontaneous gatherings, of unprecedented unity, of ancient enmities dissolved in tears of reconciliation. "We felt it here in Santiago," says a religious leader from Chile. At the exact same moment, the shofar sounded in Jerusalem. Similar accounts arrive from Nairobi, Seoul, Auckland, Rio de Janeiro. Medical professionals report inexplicable healings. Sociologists note a marked decrease in crime rates worldwide. Quantum physicists detect fluctuations in measurements that suggest a momentary alignment of universal constants. The skeptical search for rational explanations, while the faithful recognize the fingerprints of the divine. The impact is not merely emotional or psychological. It reshapes reality at fundamental levels. What happens in Jerusalem does not stay in Jerusalem. The ripples touch every shore of human experience. Hospitals report patients waking from comas at the precise moment the shofar sounded. Prison wardens describe hardened criminals falling to their knees in sudden repentance. Addiction treatment centers witness inexplicable mass recoveries. "It defies medical explanation," admits the director of a prestigious research hospital. "We're documenting cellular changes that shouldn't be possible." Environmental scientists record anomalous readings in everything from water purity to atmospheric composition. It's as though the physical world is responding to something beyond our instruments' capacity to measure, one renowned climatologist observes. The separation between spiritual and material realities dissolves as creation itself participates in this cosmic moment of reconciliation and renewal. These are signs that speak to those with eyes to see, not omens of doom, but waymarks of divine navigation through turbulent times. Consider what converges today: the completion of astronomical cycles identified by ancient cultures, the resolution of mathematical patterns discovered in sacred texts, the fulfillment of climatic conditions described by prophets who could not have understood modern meteorology. Even the skeptical scientific community acknowledges the statistical improbability of such convergences. "We calculate the odds at billions to one," admits a prominent mathematician who journeyed here to witness firsthand. Nature itself seems to participate. Birds of species rarely seen together circle in formation above the gathering. The olive trees on the mount bear fruit out of season. The waters of the Gihon spring turn crystal clear, purified by an agency that defies chemical analysis. These signs point not to an ending, but to a transition, cosmic punctuation, marking the conclusion of one chapter and the beginning of another. Astronomers track celestial alignments that occur only once in millennia. Meteorologists document weather patterns matching precisely those recorded in ancient prophecies. Geologists register subtle shifts in tectonic plates, not dangerous, but realigning in ways that correspond to boundaries described in sacred geography. "The land itself is responding," observes an indigenous elder who has traveled from New Zealand, recognizing patterns his people have preserved in oral tradition for centuries. Animals display behavior that defies evolutionary explanation. Predator and prey gathering in peaceful proximity, species thought extinct suddenly reappearing. "Creation groans," a biologist quotes, recognizing in her scientific observations the fulfillment of scriptural metaphor. The signs multiply and converge, not random but orchestrated, not coincidental but coordinated by an intelligence that spans time itself. This moment, profound as it is, represents not conclusion, but continuation. We stand not at the end of history, but at a pivotal hinge upon which a new era turns. The ancient prophets who foresaw this day also glimpsed what follows. Their writings speak of a progression, not a single event, a sequence of unfoldings that restores what was distorted, heals what was wounded, reconciles what was estranged. "This is the beginning of the beginning," explains a Kabbalistic scholar, her hands tracing sacred geometries in the air as she speaks. Those gathered sense this instinctively. There is anticipation without impatience, celebration without closure. Tomorrow will dawn with new purpose, new clarity, new understanding of humanity's place in the cosmic story. What transpires here plants seeds that will bear fruit for generations, yet unborn. This is not the final chapter. It is the prelude to a greater narrative that continues to unfold according to its divine timetable. The very air seems charged with potential, humming with possibilities previously unimagined. Children born today will grow up in a world fundamentally different from the one their parents knew, not through technological revolution, but through spiritual evolution. "We are witnessing the birth of a new consciousness," explains a neurologist who has documented unprecedented patterns of brain activity in those present. Mystics from diverse traditions who have long spoken of humanity's next developmental leap watch in quiet satisfaction as their visions materialize. "The prophecies were not predicting the end," clarifies an ancient text scholar, "but a new beginning, the emergence of what humanity was always meant to become." What continues from this day forward moves according to divine timing, neither rushed by human impatience nor delayed by human resistance, but unfolding with the perfect precision of a cosmic dance choreographed before time began. The world is watching. Satellite feeds transmit these events to billions of screens worldwide. Social media platforms report unprecedented engagement, with Jerusalem trending in every country with internet access. Global leaders call emergency meetings to discuss implications. Financial markets respond with unexpected stability rather than panic, as though a collective realization dawns that some things hold value beyond economic metrics. News anchors struggle to maintain journalistic distance, their voices cracking with emotion as they attempt to describe what transcends description. "We are witnessing history," they say, unaware of how deeply inadequate that phrase is for what unfolds. This is more than history. It is the merging of temporal and eternal narratives. Houses of worship fill spontaneously in cities across the globe. People who have never shown interest in spiritual matters find themselves drawn to community, to ritual, to practices that connect human experience to something greater. The watching world intuitively recognizes this moment in Jerusalem concerns us all. Communication networks experience unexplainable phenomena. Ancient languages appearing in digital transmissions, images capturing what no camera recorded, audio feeds picking up harmonies beyond human vocal range. "The technological and the mystical are converging," observes a Silicon Valley pioneer who abandoned a product launch to journey here. Nations that have stood in conflict for generations find diplomatic channels suddenly opening, peace initiatives gaining unexpected traction. "It's as though a collective madness has lifted," remarks a veteran diplomat. "We're suddenly seeing solutions where we once saw only problems." The watching world begins to participate, distance collapsing as the ripples of Jerusalem's awakening reach shores of consciousness around the planet. What began as observation transforms into engagement as billions of souls recognize their place in this unfolding cosmic narrative. The sun begins its descent toward the horizon, painting Jerusalem's stones with golden light. Yet something has fundamentally changed. Those who came as observers have become participants in a narrative larger than themselves. The story that began millennia ago enters a new chapter, with each person present inscribed as both witness and protagonist. "Tell them what you have seen here," instructs an elder to a group of young people clutching cameras and phones. "But understand, the true record is written not in images or words, but in transformed lives." As stars appear above Jerusalem, they seem to shine with unusual clarity, as though heaven itself has drawn nearer to earth. The gathered begin to disperse, carrying within them seeds of renewal that will take root in soils across the planet. This day does not end with nightfall. Its revelations will continue to unfold across generations yet unborn. Jerusalem has once again become what its name has always promised: the foundation of peace, the wellspring of wholeness, the meeting place where heaven touches earth. And the story continues, unfolding according to a wisdom ancient yet ever new, a blueprint written in the very fabric of creation. What has begun here will not be stopped. Listen for the echoes, watch for the signs, participate in the unfolding. The prophets have spoken. The time has come. Jerusalem breathes the first breath of a new dawn. As darkness fully embraces the ancient city, an unexpected phenomenon begins. Witnesses describe it as a gentle luminescence emanating from the stones themselves. Not blinding or garish, but a soft radiance like moonlight captured within marble. Scientists quickly rule out phosphorescence or any known bioluminescent organisms. "The stones are singing," whispers a geologist, her scientific training temporarily surrendering to wonder as her instruments detect vibrations corresponding to perfect mathematical ratios. The music of the spheres made visible. Those departing find themselves walking more slowly, reluctant to step beyond the radius of this mysterious illumination. Many choose to remain through the night, gathering in spontaneous circles of contemplation and communion. Ancient enemies break bread together. Languages long forgotten resurface on tongues that never learned them. "We are remembering who we were before the forgetting," explains an anthropologist who finds himself speaking fluently in an extinct Mesopotamian dialect. Children born in the city this night bear subtle markers that medical professionals cannot explain. Unusual brain activity, unprecedented cellular coherence, eyes with a depth that seems to reflect eternity. These are the first children of the new age, pronounces a midwife who has delivered babies for 40 years. They carry within them the codes of renewal. As Jerusalem sleeps, it dreams the dream of creation, not nostalgia for paradise lost, but anticipation of harmony restored. The stones that witnessed humanity's long journey of separation now bear witness to the first moments of return. What has awakened will not slumber again. What has been unsealed cannot be reclosed. Dawn approaches, not just the sun's daily rising, but the dawning of an era foreseen by prophets, prepared for by generations of faithful ones, and now experienced by a world poised between what was and what will be. Jerusalem, navel of the world, once again becomes the center point from which creation expands into new possibilities. The story continues, the prophecy unfolds, the sacred dance resumes. And all who have witnessed, all who will hear of these events, find themselves faced with the same invitation that has echoed through the corridors of time, to participate consciously in the greatest story ever told, not as passive recipients, but as active co-creators in a narrative authored by the divine, yet written through human hearts, awakened to their eternal purpose.